Hey, I'm DJ Ross in Mountain View, California. Block you. Block me. Block you. What? I've never heard of any of these games, and I played some of them. One of those weird weeks. Good way to kick off the podcast year. Now that we got 2019 out of our system. I am not anticipating any games this year, so no. That was quite a week for delayed games, though. Is it? Well, so you're referring to Cyberpunk got pushed back, and also I believe previously Animal Crossing and the Final Fantasy VII remake were coming out on the same. Was it the same day actually? Same week or same very short time span. Yeah, Final Fantasy was kind enough to get out of the way. Only delayed a month. Right, which is just. Have I talked about this? This whole prospect of there being a remake of this game, it just seems like the most ill-conceived project that you could imagine. No? I just feel like Final Fantasy VII may be the most popular video game of all time. I think it's within the realm of possibility. How can you remake that game? Like, first of all, it just seems like a futile exercise to even attempt it. Because people are so just emotionally wrapped up with that game. It's a significant game to a lot of people. And then the way they're doing it, like just doing one chunk of it at a time, so not even the full game, just the first chunk of it has taken them like 5 years at this point. And now they delayed it a month to put the finishing touches on it? Like, how much more time? Like, you think it was like, okay, well, 4 years, 11 months, not enough time. Or 5 years even. Perfect. I don't know. I just feel bad for everybody working on that because it's got to be just a crunch disaster. And what are the odds that it doesn't even live up to people's expectations, because those are going to be sky high, right? Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I feel like there's just no way it'll satisfy everybody who's been looking forward to this thing. So, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You got your pre-order in. When do they run out? Right. No. You're not ordering some weird, obscure import title. I pre-ordered at my gas station. No. Well, here's the thing. If you're going to play Animal Crossing, do yourself a favor, get that digital download version, because you don't want to swap out carts all the time. Right. I know a lot of people are still skeptical about the all digital future, so they try and buy physical when they can. But some games you got to strategize around. If you're going to be playing something all the time, probably just want it on there. Is it? That's my catchphrase for this year. That just get used to it. Just really. That's true. Although they haven't really announced any games for him yet. Have they actually? So this is something I love. I think the only announced PlayStation 5 game at this point is Final Fantasy XIV. It's not like 100%, but the producer in some interview was like, yeah, we'd like to have it on PlayStation 5. So we're just like, there we go. All right, it's official. Guess I'll get one. But I mean, I'm sure there's some other stuff. I don't know what's specifically been announced besides that. What is the new Ninja Theory game for the Xbox? The new Senua game. Yeah, the sequel. I just assume all the usual suspects will be there. We'll get Call of Duty. Maybe Assassin's Creed will come back. Madden, my favorite. I don't know. I haven't really been looking ahead at the year-end games yet because I've got a whole list of the aforementioned weird 16-bit RPGs I want to get to this year. So my calendar is booked already. Oh, but I mean, I've got all that too. I'm still trying to fit in games from like 1997, so just get used to it. That was when that was a big deal back then. That was even like before pre-order bonuses. I feel like I can't think of when that started. Yep. Yeah. That was man. I forget how it worked if you had to like actually go down there in person to place the pre-order, if you could do it over the phone. I can't remember. It's been a while. The dark ages. Oh, you had to put down the $5 for sure. Yep. Just thinking about man, they demolished the mall where I pre-ordered most of my games back then, including Final Fantasy VII, incidentally. Just in the last 6 months or so. So farewell to that. Pour out like a 32-ounce Slurpee or something. Sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been a game store there in like a decade, but I have some memories of standing in line at that mall. I don't think that was even a thing. So this is, I don't think I told this story on the show, but as long as we're talking about Final Fantasy VII, the store where I pre-ordered it, a bunch of my friends pre-ordered it at this mall. This is just the original PlayStation 1 game. Yes, since there are about to be more than one Final Fantasy VII. So we put our pre-orders in like weeks in advance, and we got a call that like this particular store had recorded the most pre-orders of this game in, I forget what they said. Like it was either in like, I want to say it was like the whole country. That seems unlikely. But they received a significant number of pre-orders. So they said, hey, we're going to let people line up early outside the store on release day. I don't really know why, because it was like in the middle of the day. I don't know how launches worked back then. But we all went over that store and sat in the line for, I don't know, probably a couple hours. And there was a TV crew there filming. All these people, all these nerds lining up for this new video game that at the time really nobody had ever heard of. Like, who's heard of Final Fantasy at that point? So I wonder if there was like any record of that online whatsoever. This totally random electronics boutique probably that received a lot of Final Fantasy VII pre-orders. I don't think I ever saw the footage. Maybe they just decided not to run it. But it was a whole weird, surreal situation. I think I was probably like 14 or 15. It was as a matter of fact, it was the same day as my high school orientation. So that was day 0 of high school. We're just like, okay, we learned where all the classrooms are. Let's head over to the mall and get that video game. Oh no, but I would have thought about it. Right. Certainly not 7 more of them. Man, I was so excited for that game. That goes without saying, but like at the time, my hype was just through the roof. I don't think I've ever been more excited for a video game. Yeah. Anyway. Well, before you get into that, I was going to tell you a fun story about being on an airplane. Then we started talking about Final Fantasy VII. Weird. It was just a fun random aside because I was doing some flying lately. I got on the plane. I don't travel very often, maybe like once a year or so. I had just gotten to the point where like planes with a screen on the seat felt kind of normal to me. Before I was just like, oh, look at this fancy plane that I'm in. But now I'm just like, well, they'll probably have a screen on there so I can watch a movie or whatever. But I got on this plane, no screen on the back of the seat. But I noticed that they had a little like tray that folded out, not like the food tray, a little tiny tray where the screen would have been, like eye level, that you just put your phone on. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty smart for the airline. Like, save a bunch of money putting those screens and entertainment systems in. People just want to watch what they got on their phone anyway. Yeah, exactly. So like that's pretty smart. Oh, it was the brand new thing. And I was like, oh, well, if only I had the foresight to load up something on my phone. And then I realized, you know what? I'm just going to be completely shameless. Pulled out my Switch, do the whole assembly process, like snapping the Joy-Cons on, which makes it feel like you're like assembling a sniper rifle or something. Yeah. But I'm just like, whatever, this guy's watching some like Marvel trash, it looks like. Let's just play Dragon Quest Builders for the rest of this flight. So I set that up, had little Joy-Cons inconspicuously down at my sides, and then just the little Dragon Quest Builders on that flight, thanks to the little handy cell phone tray. And it was amazing. I felt like this is the dream of the Switch finally realized on this airplane. Like, don't have to use the little kickstand thing. Just, set it up and use your wireless controllers. It's great. Yeah, I was a huge fan. And then the rest of the flights I had that weekend, none of them had a cell phone tray. So I was just like, oh, didn't realize how good I had it. I know, it was awful. I still didn't use that kickstand, though. That is just, it's the worst. No. Hmm. That's not so good. Yeah, let's get rid of it. I mean, I was so excited finally just using the Switch fearlessly in public. I did see somebody else on their Switch, actually. It looked like they were playing like Fire Emblem or something with a bunch of talking anime heads or something. Wasn't totally sure. It sounds like Fire Emblem. Let me say, he was skipping a lot of dialogue. I don't know how much dialogue there's in that game, but characters did not spend a lot of time on the screen. Block you. Do the blocks fall down like they do in Tetris when you clear a line? I mean, like when you clear a line, do the remaining blocks drop down? Like how do you do combos? And oh, well, how do you combo then? I so it's not so much like you setting up a chain reaction. It's just you being able to clear multiple lines in back-to-back turns then in a single move. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I don't know if I like the sound of that. This sounds like just a Tetris junk OCD nightmare. Mm. Okay. Uh, you just can't place any of them. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Oh, who knows at this point? Hmm. Still sounds stressful. That's the problem with dumb games on your phone. I mean, not to say that this game is dumb, but on some level, all phone games are dumb. It's just, what's the easiest game that you could play at any given moment? Oh, whatever is on your phone immediately in front of you. So I could boot up Dragon Quest Builders again, play some Death Stranding, or I could just instantly be playing some Sudoku knockoff. What am I going to choose? Oh, can I talk about a puzzle game that I hate? Which, no. Oh, nice. That's good. I like that. Nice. Mm, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. I'm just looking at screenshots and there's all this junk floating around. I don't know if you've seen me play Tetris, but my field is just immaculate. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, my eye is twitching a little bit just looking at these screens. It's like, oh, all these holes. Oh, that game is a Lumines for the PSP. A much beloved puzzle game, completely to my bafflement. Because, I mean, I like the whole idea where it kind of like synergizes with the music and the visuals a little bit. That's kind of cool. But the way that game is set up, the way you have to eliminate blocks is like by, what do you do? You make squares in that game? Is that right? Yeah. I mean, for a while, it was the only PSP game. So a lot of people had little miniature love affairs with this game, myself included. But I realized, like, shortly into my love affair, is you get these blocks that you get 2x2 blocks of tiles, and tiles can be 1 or 2 colors. And you have to make additional 2x2 blocks of the same color in order to clear them from the field, right? Yeah, like it clears the field periodically. But I realized that I can't remember if it actually does this, but it doesn't really give you just a 2x2 block of one color, because that'd be easy. That would just eliminate itself instantly. So you have to kind of align the sections of the blocks that are in one color with other blocks that are already on the field, so you can make these additional 2x2 blocks, which will get cleared. But I realized that there's no way to just have a completely clean and nicely organized playing field, because every time you place a block, you're inevitably just placing whatever junk blocks are the wrong color on the piece you just got. So you may be clearing blocks away, but you are just creating more mess for yourself to clean up later. Right. Like, there's no Tetris equivalent in this game of you just sliding that, like, the line piece into that slot and cleanly eliminating those 4 lines. You're just like, right. You can, I mean, maybe if you're a Luminous master, you can engineer that structure that does that. But I'm not quite at that point. I was just like, no matter how hard I work at this game, I am just setting myself up to fail a few rounds from now, because there's just all this junk left over, and it is all going into just like this mountain of like just Tetris trash all over the screen. Mm-hmm. Which you get a bonus for in a lot of the modern versions of Tetris, which is very difficult, incidentally. So that's probably why you get a bonus, but it's not something. I feel like I never did this in Luminous. Yeah. I think it's on the Switch even. Oh, weird. I have not thought about it in a while either because it makes me insane. Anyway, that just, you talking up BlockuDoku or whatever just made me think of it because I'm just like, oh, look at all these holes you're making. Why are you doing this to yourself? Mm-hmm. Maybe that is just my problem. Like, maybe it's just a sign that I have not become proficient enough at whatever puzzle game I'm complaining about, where I'm just leaving junk structures all over the playfield. Like, I've never really been into Puyo Puyo either. But I always play those games like, okay, all the red ones are gonna go here, and all the blue ones will go on the other side, and the green ones, oh, there's too many colors. I can't deal with this anymore, and then I just close it down and go back to playing Tetris. Right. We're gonna find out the puzzle game that Marie Kondo plays and then play that one. She definitely seems like a Tetris player to me. She is Japanese though. That may mean she's just a Puyo Puyo master. Get her on next week's show. Yeah, that would be something. She'd just be like, why do you have this game? I have been playing, I don't know how to pronounce this, Wattam, I think. Wattam, Wattam. This was actually on my list of games I wanted to get through at the end of last year. It came out very late in the year. This is the new game from Keita Takahashi, who created Katamari Damacy and Nobi Nobi Boy. He's been working on it for a long time, and it finally came out like late in December. And surprise, it's real weird. So I don't know if you've seen this game or like if anyone listening has been following this, but it looks very much like a Keita Takahashi game. So if you've played Katamari Damacy, it's got just like that whole pastel color palette. Every character is a little weird abstract cartoon object with a little cartoon face with beady eyes. It very much looks like, if a Katamari were to roll through the level in Wattam, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Of course that thing is here. Mm. Right, they all have the same face. Mm-hmm. Which I really love about all of his projects. I've gone through a lot of stages of playing this game. I did not know a lot about it going into it, other than, I've played Katamari Damacy, I played Novi Novi Boy. I played, what was that game? Alphabet. He made a couple years ago as like a game jam thing where you just had 26 characters in the game and they're all letters of the alphabet, and you use your entire keyboard to control them all at once. It was madness. It was pretty good. I haven't really been following this closely. I was just like, oh, I know he's working on something. It has all his weird characters in it. And by that, I mean it just has objects in it, and he puts his little signature face on all of them, so then it just becomes one of his characters. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try, just kind of sight unseen. And I picked it up, and a few minutes into it, I'm just like, I feel like I was tricked into playing like a game for children. Because it starts out very simplistically, where it sets up the premise of the game a little bit, where it says, well, once upon a time there was the world, and then the world was destroyed, and now there's nothing. And then it starts out with you are a little green cube with a face, and I think this one is actually a little unique because you have a little mustache, and you are the mayor of nothing, because there's just nothing in the world at this point. The world being like kind of a blank square of ground floating in space. And for some reason, you are the mayor of this blank ground, and you walk around for a little bit. Eventually, you run into a stone, and you become friends with it, and it kind of like spirals on at this point, and you just begin to meet more and more objects as they are reintroduced into this world. you meet like some plants and a tree, and you meet like a mouth and a nose. So, kind of all bets are off in terms of what objects get reintroduced. They're not all just like abstract geometric shapes. Some of them are like actual household objects. Some are like fruits and things. Some are just a disembodied nose, and it all makes sense somehow because they all have that same weird cartoon face on them. But it's also presented with very little like dialogue or writing. A lot of what happens in the game is just communicated through speech bubbles, where one of the characters will be like in a bad mood or something, so you have to go and talk to them, and the problem that they are having, they will just like pop up a speech bubble, and there will be a little illustration of whatever is bothering them. So it's not really telling you what to do in words necessarily. So it feels a little bit like it's a game for like young children to just mess around in, because it's very silly. All the characters are voiced by children, and there's just kind of this incessant like childish giggling taking place, because while you are controlling one character, the other characters who have been reintroduced to the world at this point are just, they might be off in the background frolicking around or whatever and just giggling. And I just thought this is all very silly, kind of lighthearted. I wasn't expecting like an incredibly structured video game experience or anything, where it's like, this is stage 1 of Wattam, go complete the objectives. Especially after playing Novi Novi Boy, which was just, he really had no objective in that game other than to just stretch the little worm guy out. It's maybe a little more directed than Novi Novi Boy, but at the same time, it's like, there are some things that the game wants you to do, but is also perfectly happy with you just hanging out and like being these characters, I guess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does feel like that. In that, I feel like there is a progression that you can go through, and apparently this is like an ending. And most of it, like most of the progression, comes from these really just kind of random objectives. They all revolve around like a new character or a new object that has reappeared suddenly, and they're having a problem. Like, and you need to go solve it because you're the mayor, I guess. It varies based on what their problem is, but you also quickly discover that each object, or most of the objects that show up, have some kind of unique ability that they can do. Like, for instance, one of the first objects you meet is a tree, and the tree eats things and then makes them reappear as some kind of fruit. which weirdly enough takes on the properties of whatever object they ate. So at one point I ate like a scroll, and then a watermelon popped out of the tree, and it was the scroll again, clearly, but it was in the shape of a watermelon. It was just like a brown and gray watermelon. It's weird. It makes more sense if you see it. There's like a little mouth that can eat stuff, and of course after the mouth eats stuff, it like poofs it back out. And you get like a nice little like 3D poop emoji that just like begins to hang out on the island with you. It's weird. But basically, by making use of whatever character's unique skill is required at any given moment, you're able to solve problems that the other characters are experiencing, and eventually welcome more and more new objects back into the world. And eventually you go to like other islands floating in space. I guess they're all themed after one of the Four Seasons. And you just meet more and more characters and solve more weird problems, which I kind of like, because it doesn't ever really feel like you're solving the same problem over and over. It's like, well, this flower needs to grow or something. So in that situation, you all join hands and like do a little loop around the flower, and you're all like giggling as the flower grows. The one recent problem I solved was there was a tree who wanted to be a lighthouse or something. So you had to find another character who had the little revolving spotlight on his head and steal it, and then go put that on the top of the tree. It's weird. There's a lot of just weird, goofy stuff going on, which makes me feel like this is why it feels perfect as like a children's book or something, because it just has that kind of very playful children's logic to things, where it's like, why is the tree sad? Oh, it's because the tree wishes it was a lighthouse instead. So how can we make that possible? And I thought my first reaction was like, I was like tricked into playing this game. Maybe this is not something for me, because it's actually ideal for like small kids to enjoy. And I was like, well, after a few hours of playing, I thought, well, maybe that's not such a bad thing. I am just kind of taken in by just the constant weird whimsy of it. And it's always a surprise seeing what objects are going to appear next. So I think I'm like warming up to it a little bit. It's definitely a strange piece of escapism compared to stuff like Novi Novi Boy and Katamari Damacy. It's definitely unique. It's hard to draw a through line through all of his projects because they don't necessarily play all the same. They're just united by this weird sense of like, I don't know, they're almost like big toy boxes in a way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Noe Noe Boy, I'm actually amazed that it exists. Like, he was actually able to make that. I think people were really excited to see what the guy who made Katamari was going to do next. And then, surprise, he kind of made a thing that's like not a game at all. And I think people were real turned off because of that. But man, I played that game a lot, or whatever it was. Just enjoying figuring out all the weird little Easter eggs that he had hidden throughout the game, or just discovering the weird interactions when you would shove a couple of different characters together. And it's kind of the same way in this, where you have, I like weird too, it's good. Like you have the tree that can eat stuff, and it's weird to see, it's fun to see, if I eat this guy, what's it going to look like when he reappears as a fruit? And I found myself kind of just doing that for a while, just turning things into fruits and then feeding them to the mouth. And then the mayor has this, he has a secret bomb under his hat where he makes this bomb explode and it just turns everything back to their original form. So I was just I guess I'll just do this for a while. I was just zoning out. Yeah. I was getting a little worried. I was like, what if I just feed everything to the tree and I can't do anything? But eventually I get over that, and I've just allowed myself to, just play around in the sandbox for a little bit. So I don't know what I was expecting. It definitely wasn't this. But eventually I figured out how to enjoy myself, how to let myself have fun with this. This feels like a toy most of the time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard it's very fun to try and reintroduce every single object, because I think there's a list of 100 objects that you can potentially end up with in the world. They're in terms of there just being a structure for serious gamers to follow. There is there's little hints of a story. There is some written dialogue that pops up every once in a while between islands. So far has been surprisingly thought-provoking, especially considering how little of it there actually is. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, because that is also just feels like, I don't know, it's kind of surprising considering just the cheerful tone of the rest of the game, and the fact that it kind of is the world. It keeps flashing back to these sequences of the world as it has been destroyed. And it's just cheerful houses and rainbows laying in ruins. So it's the world has been destroyed, but it was destroyed in a very Keita Takahashi way. So I want to see where that's going. I think it's funny that is in this game, which feels like maybe he made it for, I know he has a couple of young children. So I wonder how much of that was, obviously some of it is, some of this was intended for children to play. I don't know if it was his goal originally just to be I'm going to make something for my two kids specifically, but it does feel like kind of a children's storybook almost. And in between the story segments, you just mess around and feed things to a tree and laugh as a mouth poops things out endlessly. Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that it took me a little while to warm up to, because it's just hey, go and just chill out with a bunch of weird cartoon characters and enjoy yourself. And if you can warm up to that idea, then it's a good time. Right. I don't think you need to play it. I was like, this is something Randy would not enjoy. I still don't understand how that is possible. Mm-hmm. How much do you like to just sit back on the couch and listen to children laughing for like hours on end? Not at all. See, that was my impression at first. I was just like, oh, is there going to be just like babies talking throughout this entire thing? But it's kind of infectious after a while. It just like, after it goes on, you're just like, hey, all right, let's all hold hands and run in a circle and flowers will grow. It'll be great. Cool. Hmm. It is, I mean, it's very different from any other game out there at the moment. There's also just a great soundtrack. It's very like low key and a little jazzy, sort of like some of the Katamari tracks. But I found like on a few occasions, I would either like just hit pause on the controller for a while because I had to put it down and go do something else, and sometimes I'd just be like, oh, we'll just leave this on in the background for a while because it's kind of just like chilled out soundtrack. Kind of goes with anything. Mm-hmm. It just shares the look with it. You don't actually. I've been assuming you don't do any like mining. Yeah. You don't get a gun? Ridiculous. That's nice. I mean, yours are supposed to be relaxing on vacation, so that's good. Oh, that's excellent. I was going to ask, like, how much of this game is actually about just being on vacation? Yeah, that's fun. Oh, that's what I want. Sign me up for that. What about the thing? Uh, mhm. I'm just trying to imagine two people talking to each other after playing this game, and one of them is just like, "Yeah, I was playing this game called The Tourist. It was great. You go on vacation, super fun, relaxing. I just hung out by the pool, took some photos, did that for like 40 hours. It was so relaxing. It was great. Not like any other video game out there." And then the other person is like, "What you mean you never like you never got any wind of the secret mystery underneath the island or whatever?" It's like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to figure out how they could make that experience in the game. What, you could go on an endless vacation? That sounds terrific. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be more stuff for you to do. I mean, it could just turn into Animal Crossing at some point. Like, I just live here now. Just live by the pool. Yeah. Do they all eventually tie back into the central mystery, though? Okay. I was thinking, it also reminds me of like the characters in a short hike where they're just like, hey, I need some seashells or whatever. Just get me some seashells. And it doesn't, I mean, it's just a completely unrelated thing you can do. Yeah, because I was going to say there are way too many of those things. I feel like I'm going to be the guy who plays this and just doesn't get involved with the big central mystery. I'm just like, I'm just hanging out by the pool. Yeah. Makes me feel like whenever I go to PAX in Seattle, all my friends are like, oh, we got to go to this panel. We got to go to this one next. We got to run across the whole hotel to get to this one in time and wait in line for 3 hours. And I'm just like, I'll be at the bar. I don't know, whatever you guys are doing. I'm just hanging out this weekend. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that definitely happened. Yeah. You don't need to get to the big central mystery of PAX. You can just chill out. Hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that is not the intent of this game, where it just there happens to be a central mystery that you can get wrapped up in. But like, what if it was? What if they just made a game about taking a vacation on an island? Right. Oh, so you're admitting now that you don't like that stuff. Hiding behind a box. Okay. Don't you think the Naughty Dog guys would just love to make a game that's like Nathan Drake on vacation, where he's just, hanging out of the pool, the game comes out, and everybody is just like, where is all the shooting and where are the hidden tombs and stuff? All I've done is, do laps in the pool for a week. It'd be great. I would love to see, somebody's take on that. Right. I still have to play that one. I just like the idea that there's stuff going on in the periphery of this island, even as you're uncovering the mystery, that you can you can wrap yourself up in if you so choose. Yeah. There could be like an escape room on the island. And then there's like one that's just an escape room and another one that ends up throwing you into some ancient cavern underneath the island. I don't know. The Tourist with a Y for some reason. Yeah. Now this keeps getting recommended to me. I should play it. I will play it at some point. Mm-hmm. Depends how long you choose to spend lounging around. All right. Excellent. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'm just thinking about lollygagging. Oh, undoubtedly. Is that real? No. That is man, we have another game. Oh, we didn't even, this was weeks ago, but that the Campo Santo game that they were working on at Valve got axed essentially so they can all work on the Half-Life VR thing. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sucks. But oh well, people love Half-Life. Yeah. Well, do somebody's thing. Yep. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it's been out of the news for a while, so I don't know how much I want to get into it, but kind of a downer over the holidays, or before the holidays, whenever that was. Anytime. Well, I'm still waiting. Next week we'll be back to tell you all about how Animal Crossing has been pushed back into 2025 so they can release it exclusively on the next Xbox. Yeah, before that happens. Yeah. Flux capacitors. Somebody's like fixing a car, it looked like. I have no idea. Somebody, whenever people post pictures of some kind of machinery, I'm just like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what that is. I'm glad I'm not working on it because people would be dying. Let the professionals handle it. Exciting. Yeah. You know what you can do when you're not chatting away in the Discord? Is you can be telling your friends about Video Game Hangover. Maybe you've got some friends who are looking for a new video game podcast to listen to. How about this one? There you go. Yeah, new podcast policy. We really appreciate it. It helps us, help spread the word about the show, and helps us get more people into the Discord where they can share photos from their mother's attic. All right. My parents don't have an attic, so no luck there. Are there any video games hidden in there? Just somewhere. Just hanging out. Well, we'll look forward to the report whenever that comes out. This is DJ Ross. Good night. Sometimes there's just not a bonus scene.